Hello and welcome back to In the Green. We have another special guest with us today, David Wright, who's the Energy Committee Chair of the Mackinac chapter of the Sierra Club in Michigan. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Matt.
That was quite a mouthful, but basically the Mackinac chapter of the Sierra Club is the Michigan chapter.
Exactly. The Mackinac chapter represents state issues in Lansing and throughout the state.
And the Energy Committee deals with energy issues,
Exactly.
I take it. And I asked you to come on the show because actually you had invited me some months ago, or a year or two ago, to a wind energy seminar in Brighton, and I was really interested in that, and you know a lot more about it than I do, and so I thought maybe you could bring a little more of the idea of wind power to our viewers and explain to them what it's about and how it's a renewable resource and clean and everything. It still irks me why we don't use it, but maybe you can tell us some of the reasons why we don't use it exclusively.
Well, the wind energy is the fastest growing source of power today for electric utilities basically around the world, and the Europeans have significantly adopted wind technologies, and the leading manufacturers of utility scale wind generating systems are in fact from Denmark and Germany.
Okay, when you say utility scale, you mean million-dollar wind turbines,
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
And these wind turbines will produce enough energy to provide the electrical needs for 200 to 500 homes with one turbine, as opposed to requiring many turbines to meet that need.
Right. In my naivety earlier, when I was at the seminar, I had asked why wouldn't we each have a small unit on our house? And it was explained to me that, well, maybe you can give us the formula. Why is it that a large turbine works better than a bunch of small ones?
The amount of energy that a turbine can produce is basically a function of the area that the area of the wind that the blade intercepts. And so the relationship is on a cubic factor. So as you get to larger diameter turbines, the amount of energy that they can produce is significantly greater than the smaller turbines.
So a small increase in diameter will give you a great increase in power.
Significantly larger increase in power.
Now I know we have some video that you brought, and we'll get to that in just a minute, but is Michigan particularly suited for wind power, and what do we have now in the way of wind power?
Well, in Michigan right now, with utility scale wind generation, we have one turbine that's operating outside of Traverse City, and it was developed as one of the nation's first green rate programs by the Traverse City Light and Power Electric Utility up there.
Okay, you said green rate. What is a green rate program?
Well, the cost to produce electricity from wind are above what typically it costs to produce electricity from a coal-fired power plant, which is where most electricity in Michigan comes from. And so these customers have agreed to pay an additional 1.5 cents per kilowatt hour for their electricity in order to have it generated renewably by the wind generator that the Traverse City utility purchased and installed.
Oh, okay. But there were more than enough people. I understand there are plans to build several more.
Right. There are plans right now in northern Michigan to build at least 6 more utility scale wind generators to provide electricity.
Is there a picture of that on the tape?
On the tape that I brought, there are large megawatt size wind generators similar to the one that will be up in Traverse City, and the ones they're going to put in at Mackinac City.
All right, good. So if we can, Eric, if we have that tape, let's go to that now. Thanks.
The wind. We're well acquainted with this force of Mother Nature and its many forms. Whether it's a gentle spring breeze, a strong winter gale, or a mighty summer blast. Wind is produced by the sun's uneven heating of the air above land masses. As heated air in one area rises, cooler, heavier air is drawn from elsewhere to take its place, creating wind. Although the wind's power is not highly concentrated, it is immense. The winds above America contain many times more energy than the flowing and falling water of its rivers. Since the beginning of time, people have marveled at this gift of nature, been awed by its potential. and dreamt about harnessing its power. The Persians, one of the world's earliest civilizations, used mechanical windmills to grind grain nearly 4,000 years ago. During the 14th century, water-pumping windmills helped the Dutch reclaim swampy lowlands from the sea. As the American West was settled, mechanical windmills brought fresh water to pioneer homes. During the 1930s, small wind electric generators were the only source of electricity for many rural homes across the Great Plains. Today, as a new generation of modern high-tech wind turbines comes online, a new era is dawning. The age-old dream of harnessing the wind's awesome power is finally being realized. Several advances in wind technology are contributing to its renaissance today.
Today's modern wind turbines are as far from the old farm windmills as the new jumbo jets are from the original Wright brothers biplane. Advancements in aerodynamics, composite materials, and power electronics have really brought the industry to the forefront of renewable power generation.
The flat blades on early windmills were simply pushed by the wind. Depending on aerodynamic drag and losing out on more than 2/3 of the wind's energy. The blades of a modern wind turbine also use drag, but in addition, they also rely on the same powerful force that makes an airplane rise into the air, aerodynamic lift. That's why even a modest wind can start the huge blades of a modern turbine spinning, driving its generator to produce electric power. Many rotors on today's machines also have blades whose shapes have been specially designed in cooperation with the U.S. Department of Energy's National Renewable Energy Laboratory, or NREL, further increasing efficiency and power production.
The DOE Wind Energy Program has been extremely helpful in accelerating the development of our commercial wind turbines through the development of NREL airfoils, blade testing, turbine verification programs, NREL developed design codes, assistance with value engineering, and much more. As valuable as this has been, I think the greatest contribution for DOE and NREL is the efforts towards the development of the next generation turbines. The next generation turbines are targeted to be competitive with the least cost conventional technology without subsidies.
Advanced electronic control systems help turbines respond quickly to ever-changing wind conditions. Computerized monitoring allows operators to manage and coordinate the power generated by groups of turbines called wind power plants. The wind industry has also mastered the production of large-scale wind turbines. During the mid-1980s, each turbine in an average wind plant could provide about 100 kilowatts of capacity. The much larger machines in today's wind plants range from a maximum power output of 500 kilowatts to 1,500 kilowatts each, and they take advantage of economies of scale. Therefore, fewer turbines are needed for each plant, reducing construction and maintenance costs. Methods of evaluating wind resources at specific sites have also evolved. Thanks to more than a decade of wind plant development, we understand much more about how to measure the wind's potential.
With project development today, wind resource assessment is a critical factor, not only in determining where in a state or county the wind facility will be located, but also in micrositing or placing the individual turbines within a project. Today, the technology for wind resource assessment is vastly superior to older equipment due to microprocessor-based electronics and quite a bit of innovation in our industry.
Taken together, all of these changes have improved efficiency and reliability, increased productivity, and brought wind energy's costs down to a level that is competitive with most conventional technologies. In fact, the cost of producing electricity at a 30 to 50 megawatt wind plant averaged over its 30-year life is now placed at 4 to 5 cents per kilowatt hour, a drop in cost of more than 80% since 1980. and the costs keep falling.
Wind energy is the fastest growing renewable energy source in the world and one of the great success stories of the past 15 years. The World Bank estimates that over the next 30 to 40 years, developing countries alone will require 5 million megawatts of new electric generating capacity to meet the needs of their citizens. Over that same period, wind energy will become a key part of the solution to meeting those needs cleanly, efficiently, and cheaply. And here at home, wind energy will serve as an increasingly important part of our electricity generation portfolio. The Department of Energy is fully committed to working with the wind industry to develop this excellent renewable resource.
But dramatically improved energy economics are only part of the picture. Wind energy offers other benefits that go far beyond the price of electric power. The most obvious are environmental benefits. Wind plants generate electricity without pollution or the greenhouse gas emissions believed to cause global climate change. When substituted for coal, a single 750 kilowatt wind turbine can generate enough electricity each year to displace 2.7 million pounds of carbon dioxide, the most important greenhouse gas. That's over 1,300 tons annually. More than 450 acres of forest would be needed to store that much CO2. In addition to helping the environment, wind energy brings economic development benefits to the communities where it occurs. Machinists, electronic and computer technicians, heavy equipment operators, and windsmiths, the men and women who perform turbine maintenance, all are skilled workers necessary for building and running a utility-scale wind plant. And since wind power has no fuel costs, a larger portion of plant income stays in the local economy. In western Minnesota and northern Iowa, where hundreds of large wind turbines have been installed in recent years, residents and business owners are thrilled with the benefits brought by the new industry.
Well, I really couldn't be more pleased with the cooperation of the people that built it. You know, we were very suspicious when it started. Farmers maybe are a little bit this way to start with in nature, but they have just done everything that you could ask them to do.
It's clean, it's renewable. Obviously, everything about wind is good, good, good. Mm-hmm. And it helps us with our economy as well because we are going to produce our own energy.
I'm real happy. I think this is the way to get the wind and use it for electricity. We all need electricity, and the people we've worked with have worked with us, treat us real well.
It's opening the door to what can come. This is I see it as a great day in McCamey and a great day in Texas.
Personally, I'm excited about it because our oil industry is gone down so much, and we need something to diversify to bring our economy back up and, you know, bring people into our town, and we're hoping that this project can help us in that area.
Wind is also a good neighbor, fitting well into the economy of a rural community. Wind power projects can share land with a variety of other uses, including farming, ranching, and recreational activities. In addition, wind energy plants are modular. Projects can easily be matched in size to local power needs, with additional turbines being built later on as needed. This reduces the risk and guesswork for utilities and financial investors. Construction lead times are short. A modern wind plant can be built in about 6 months rather than the 5 years or longer it takes to build many other power plants. And since each turbine operates on its own, individual turbines can be maintained and repaired without shutting down an entire plant. Wind power also provides fuel diversity benefits. As the utility industry learned from nuclear investments during the 1970s, putting all our proverbial eggs in one basket is not a wise energy supply choice. By building a diverse energy supply portfolio, balancing the price and supply risks of a variety of conventional fuels, and including renewables like wind, solar, biomass, and geothermal, we can create a strong, stable, and secure energy future for our nation and world. Wind energy is a growth industry.
During the 1990s, wind power has emerged as the world's fastest growing energy source. Wind generation is now growing at 25% per year compared to the use of oil, which is growing at less than 2% per year. Just since 1990, the industry has increased the total amount of wind energy generated by a factor of 5.
FPL Energy is interested in wind for 3 reasons. First of all, it's the most cost-effective new source of renewable energy. Secondly, that cost is coming down and expects to continue to come down over the next several years. And third, wind energy adds to FPL Energy's already clean portfolio of assets owned throughout the United States.
As wind's benefits become clear, markets are expanding around the globe, with new plants being built not only in the United States, but throughout Europe, Latin America, and other regions of the world.
In Europe, interest in wind power is driven mainly by environmental concerns. In developing countries like India, on the other hand, interest in wind power is mainly driven by the desperate shortages of energy they face. In the future, as wind energy technology improves and it becomes increasingly competitive with fossil fuels, we expect that wind power will continue to be the world's fastest growing energy source.
While utility-scale wind plants are springing up around the world, other uses are growing as well. In thousands of islands and remote communities, standalone turbines or wind-diesel hybrid systems are an ideal source of power for meeting many needs. Relaying microwave signals from mountaintops, removing salt from seawater, refrigerating medical supplies. These systems can electrify isolated communities or even research facilities in the Antarctic and help cut the high fuel and maintenance costs of remote diesel generators.
Wind energy is a clean, renewable energy source which will help us to power the 21st century.
Wind power is clean, reliable, and efficient. By providing local skilled and high-tech jobs, it can revitalize rural communities across America's Great Plains and mountain regions. Its potential around the world, where 2 billion people still do not have electricity, is enormous. In China, Russia, Latin America, Central Asia, and elsewhere, wind can provide the electricity needed to power a developing world. Wind is truly a fuel of the future, providing inexhaustible power while preserving a healthy environment for our children and grandchildren. It can help us all build a better tomorrow.
Well, David, thank you very much for bringing that footage in. That's pretty interesting stuff. Before we go on, I want to remind our viewers, this program In the Green is produced by members of the Green Party of Michigan, and you can get more information about the Green Party by going to the website, which is at www.migreens.org. David, the Sierra Club has a website as well. You want to give that information to our viewers?
Yeah.
And
the Sierra Club website is www.sierraclub.org, and there's no space in there. And you can go to that website, and then you can get to the Michigan chapter of the Sierra Club from there.
What activities does the Sierra Club engage in?
The Sierra Club, the goal of the Sierra Club is to protect, preserve, and enjoy our natural features in the environment. So Sierra Club members go on outings and visit areas that are important from a natural features environment. They go out kayaking, canoeing, and then they also obviously work on political issues as well as conservation issues to protect the areas that we cherish.
Some of the political information that I've seen produced by the Sierra Club is some of the best stuff around, so we appreciate that very much. It's nice to have people watching the environment because we can't all look at everything all the time. So, is your particular expertise in wind or in energy generally, or?
Yeah, my interest is in energy, renewable energy in particular, and what we can do to bring renewable energy online and reduce the amount of environmental degradation due to our current sources of energy use.
What do you think we can do to bring more renewable energy online?
Well, one of the things that we could do, the Michigan Public Service Commission is in the process of putting together their Michigan Renewables Energy Program, and a lot of states have set up what they call renewable portfolio standards, where they're requiring, as the state deregulates the electric utility industry, a certain percentage of the new generation come from renewable sources. And one of the states that's done that is Texas.
Now, has Michigan mandated that, or that plan is just being developed?
Michigan has not mandated that yet, but they're in the process right now of developing the plan.
And does the Sierra Club lobby, or you provide information about that to the legislature?
Yeah. Well, the actual program itself will be developed by the Public Service Commission, and the Sierra Club did provide comments to the Public Service Commission asking them to set up a renewable portfolio standard.
Now, is that related to the deregulation of electricity in Michigan?
Exactly.
And that was part of the deregulation program?
Right. Part of the deregulation bill requires the Public Service Commission, which oversees the regulation of the electric utility industry, to set up a renewable energy program.
No, I think consumers have choice, supposedly, right? They have a choice of electric companies. I know when I first got information that we had a choice, they didn't tell you what the choice was. It just says, it's pretty hard to find, but call this number or for more information. And I called and I asked, I said, what's this? I understand we have a choice. What's the choice? And the person said, well, there's only one company. Technically you have a choice, but you can choose us or not choose us. It was kind of like that. Is that changing at all? And will consumers in the metropolitan area, for example, have a choice of more than one utility, Edison or Abel Electric or whatever?
Yeah. Well, there are other firms that are working on a national basis as states deregulate and do provide alternatives. And it all depends in a lot of cases on how the market plays out and whether or not they see opportunities in Michigan. But as this works its way through, there will be other suppliers, and most likely they'll first target industrial and commercial users, who are the largest consumers of electricity.
The high volume users.
Exactly.
And is there a concern that if there's a limited amount of electricity, that the high volume users will get first preference and residential users will be in the dark?
Boy, that's a good question. In California, I think everybody's in the dark with the amount of energy that they're using. But there are some certain customers who have interruptible supplies that allow them to actually be shut off for certain periods of time. And they've tended, I know in California, not to try and put rolling blackouts through those areas. So it all depends on what happens.
It's going to be an interesting future. You said that wind power right now is not competitive. It's not quite competitive. But next year that may change, right?
Well, I think right now wind power is competitive. If you look at the cost to install a wind generator, which is about $1 a watt, and then you amortize that over time, wind costs around, I think it's 4 to 6 cents a kilowatt hour, depending on how much wind is available at the site. And if you look at prices in California right now, the Wall Street Journal even came out and said that wind power today is the cheapest source of generation for the state of California.
And that's not even counting the health savings through cleaner air and water.
That doesn't include any of the avoided costs that aren't currently considered in rate making for utilities.
That's really neat. We're about to wrap up, and we could go on. This subject, in fact, it seems that renewable energy has only scratched the surface of our society, and it's going to go a long way, and you're right on the cutting edge, so I'm really glad that you came here to explain that to us and to bring some of the information. Again, David Wright with Sierra Club, www.sierraclub.org. And you can contact us through the Michigan Greens at migreens.org or a toll-free number of 800-680-2235. Again, my name is Matt, and you've been watching In the Green with our guest, David Wright. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you, Matthew.